In the heart of Southeast Asia, the Khmer Empire rose to become a dominant force, a civilization of immense wealth, architectural genius, and spiritual depth. For over 6 centuries, from 802 to 1431 AD, this powerful state reigned over vast territories, encompassing much of modern-day Cambodia, Thailand, Laos, and southern Vietnam. The empire's capital, Angkor, became the largest pre-industrial urban center in the world, a sprawling metropolis of temples, palaces, and vast water networks. At its zenith, Angkor was a breathtaking testament to the fusion of human ambition and divine inspiration, a city built for gods and kings. The story of its decline is not one of a single catastrophic event, but a slow, complex unraveling of the very systems that had ensured its prosperity. One of the most critical factors in Angkor's eventual collapse was environmental instability, a problem of its own making. The Khmer civilization was a hydraulic society, its survival intricately tied to a sophisticated water management system. This vast network of canals, dikes, and massive reservoirs, known as barrays, was an engineering marvel, taming the monsoon seasons. It allowed for the cultivation of multiple rice crops a year, feeding a population that numbered close to 1 million people. This agricultural surplus was the bedrock of the empire's wealth and power, funding its armies and monumental construction projects. However, centuries of intensive farming and the clearing of vast forests for construction and fuel took a heavy toll on the environment. Deforestation led to soil erosion, which in turn caused sedimentation to clog the intricate canal systems. The delicate machinery of the hydraulic empire began to break down, becoming less efficient and more vulnerable. Then, in the 14th and 15th centuries, the climate itself turned against Angkor. Evidence from tree rings and sediment cores reveals a period of intense and prolonged climate change in the region. Decades-long megadroughts were interspersed with years of torrential, destructive monsoons. The droughts would have crippled agriculture, leading to widespread food shortages and social unrest. The subsequent deluges would have overwhelmed the already damaged water systems, causing catastrophic flooding. This one-two punch of extreme weather systematically destroyed the very infrastructure that had sustained the empire for centuries. As the heart of the empire weakened, its external enemies grew bolder. The rising power of the Siamese kingdom of Ayutthaya to the west posed a direct and existential threat. Ayutthaya, a dynamic and militaristic state, began to launch increasingly frequent and devastating raids into Khmer territory. These wars drained the Khmer treasury, diverted manpower from agriculture and infrastructure maintenance, and sowed instability. The final, decisive blow came in 1431, when the armies of Ayutthaya besieged and ultimately sacked the city of Angkor. The invaders stripped the capital of its wealth, its sacred treasures, and, most importantly, its skilled artisans, scholars, and engineers. This act of cultural and intellectual decapitation was a wound from which the empire could not recover. The Khmer court was forced to abandon Angkor, relocating southward to the region of modern-day Phnom Penh, seeking a more defensible position. This move also signaled a strategic shift from an inland, agrarian-based power to a state more focused on maritime trade. Internal factors also played a significant role in the decline, particularly a major shift in the state religion. For centuries, the empire had been dominated by Hinduism and Mahayana Buddhism, which supported the concept of the Devaraja, or God-King. This belief system justified the immense power of the monarch and mobilized the population to build the colossal temples like Angkor Wat. However, from the 13th century onwards, Theravada Buddhism began to gain prominence throughout the empire. Theravada Buddhism, with its emphasis on individual enlightenment, personal salvation, and a more egalitarian social structure, stood in stark contrast to the hierarchical state religion. This new faith may have subtly eroded the divine authority of the king and the ideological foundation that demanded the construction and maintenance of grand state temples. The focus shifted from massive, state-sponsored monuments to smaller, community-supported wooden pagodas. Some scholars also suggest that internal power struggles among the Khmer elite contributed to the instability. A succession of weak or ineffective rulers may have failed to address the mounting environmental and military crises. Finally, the possibility of epidemic disease cannot be discounted as a contributing factor. The dense urban population of Angkor, coupled with failing sanitation from the broken water systems, would have been a fertile breeding ground for plagues. A major epidemic could have decimated the population, particularly the labor force needed to maintain the city and its agriculture. Thus, the collapse of the Khmer Empire was not a sudden event, but a perfect storm of interconnected crises. Environmental collapse, foreign invasion, religious transformation, and internal strife all converged to bring the once mighty empire to its knees. After the court's departure, the great city of Angkor was never completely abandoned, but it began a long, slow decline. The jungle, ever patient, began its relentless reclamation of the stone temples and palaces. Massive silk cotton and strangler fig trees grew over, under, and through the magnificent structures. For nearly 400 years, the world's largest city lay hidden beneath the jungle canopy, its glory fading into memory and myth. It became a lost city, its location known only to a few local monks and villagers who continued to worship there. The story of Angkor's fall serves as a powerful cautionary tale about the delicate balance between civilization and nature. It demonstrates how even the most advanced and powerful societies are vulnerable to environmental change and internal decay. The magnificent ruins of Angkor stand today not only as a monument to a glorious past, but also as a somber reminder of the impermanence of power. The Khmer Empire's foundation was its mastery over water, a double-edged sword of prosperity and vulnerability. King Suryavarman II, the visionary behind Angkor Wat, intended it as a microcosm of the Hindu universe. The temple's central towers were built to represent Mount Meru, the home of the gods. Its surrounding moat symbolized the mythical oceans of the world. Later, King Jayavarman VII, a devout Mahayana Buddhist, embarked on an unprecedented building spree. He constructed the walled city of Angkor Thom, the Bayon Temple, Thaprum, and numerous hospitals and rest houses. This massive expenditure of resources, while creating timeless wonders, may have stretched the empire's economy to its breaking point. The shift to Theravada Buddhism was not a sudden conversion, but a gradual, grassroots movement. Its teachings offered a more direct and personal path to spiritual fulfillment, appealing to the common populace. This ideological shift may have reduced the motivation for citizens to perform corvée labor for the state's grand projects. The failure of the water system was a cascading disaster, affecting every aspect of life. Without reliable irrigation, rice yields would have plummeted, leading to famine. The grape berets, once symbols of life, may have become stagnant pools, breeding grounds for mosquitoes and disease. The Ayutthayan invasions were not just about plunder. They were about supplanting Khmer power in the region. The loss of thousands of skilled individuals was a blow to the empire's intellectual and artistic soul. Without its engineers, the Khmer could no longer maintain or repair their complex hydraulic network. The move to the south was a pragmatic choice, but it marked the end of the Angkorian era. The city of Angkor, once the vibrant heart of a great empire, slowly succumbed to the quiet embrace of the jungle. Its rediscovery by French explorers in the 19th century stunned the Western world. The tale of Angkor is a profound reminder that no empire is eternal. The intricate bas-reliefs of Angkor Wat tell stories of gods, demons, and epic battles. These carvings were once painted in vibrant colors, a spectacle of divine drama. Life for the common people of Angkor revolved around the rhythms of rice cultivation and religious festivals. Their wooden houses, long since decayed, are a missing piece of the city's puzzle. The empire's road network, connecting its major settlements, was vital for trade and military movements. The failure to adapt to changing climatic conditions was a key vulnerability. The social contract between the God King and his people began to fray under duress. The Bayon Temple, with its hundreds of serene, smiling faces, is a monument to the compassion of Jayavarman VII. Yet, the sheer scale of his projects may have been an act of hubris. The final abandonment was not a single event, but a gradual exodus over several decades. The jungle's encroachment was both destructive and protective, hiding Angkor from the outside world. The legacy of the Khmer Empire lives on in the culture and people of modern Cambodia. Angkor remains a sacred place, a symbol of national pride and enduring spirit. The silent stones of the lost city continue to whisper their stories to those who listen. The empire's reliance on a single commodity, rice, made its economy dangerously fragile. Trade with China and India brought wealth but also foreign ideas that would slowly reshape society. The complexity of the water system required constant, centralized management, which faltered with weakening leadership. The psychological impact of the capital's sacking must have been immense, shattering the Khmer sense of invincibility. The jungle was not an enemy to be conquered, but a force to be lived with in balance. This balance was lost in the pursuit of ever grander monuments and agricultural output. The fall of Angkor serves as a timeless lesson on the interconnectedness of climate, culture, and political stability. The Great North Barre, a massive reservoir, went dry during one of the severe droughts. This event alone would have been a catastrophic blow to the city's water supply and agricultural capacity. The invading Ayutthayan army used captured Khmer engineers to improve their own capital. The religious shift was not violent, but it fundamentally altered the kingdom's priorities and allocation of resources. The city's vastness became a liability once its population began to shrink. The ghosts of Angkor are not just kings and priests, but the millions of ordinary people whose lives shaped the empire. Their story is written not just in stone, but in the very soil and water of Cambodia. The empire's collapse was a long, slow fade rather than a sudden blackout. Even after the capital moved, regional Khmer powers tried to hold on to the old ways. But the central authority that had held the vast empire together was gone forever. The hydraulic system's failure was a symptom of a deeper social and political malaise. The Devaraja cult demanded a ruler who could guarantee prosperity by mediating with the heavens. When the rains failed and the floods came, the king's divine legitimacy would have been questioned. Theravada Buddhism offered a new kind of power, one based on wisdom and compassion rather than divine right. The Ayutthayan sack of Angkor was brutally efficient, targeting the sources of Khmer power. They took the palladiums, the sacred statues that were believed to protect the kingdom. The city's recovery was impossible without its intellectual and spiritual heart. The forest that reclaimed Angkor was not pristine wilderness, but a managed forest garden for centuries. The fall of Angkor is a complex puzzle, and archaeologists continue to find new pieces. LIDAR technology has revealed the true, vast extent of the urban sprawl hidden beneath the jungle. This lost world was far more complex and populous than ever imagined. The story of its collapse is a lesson written in stone and earth for the modern world to read. The empire's end was a slow process of systems collapse, where each failure amplified the next. The weight of the massive stone temples may have compacted the ground, subtly altering water flows. The Khmer elite, focused on courtly intrigue, may have become disconnected from the realities of the countryside. The oral histories of local villagers have preserved memories of the great city long after the world forgot. Water that gave life to Angkor ultimately became an uncontrollable force of destruction. The transition to a trade-based economy in the south was a successful adaptation, but it sealed Angkor's fate. The ruins of Angkor are not a dead monument. They are a living ecosystem. Understanding Angkor's fall is crucial to understanding the challenges of sustainability today. The empire did not vanish. It transformed, adapted, and moved on, leaving its magnificent shell behind. The heart of the empire ceased to beat, but its spirit endured in a new form. The silence of Angkor's grand avenues speaks volumes about the consequences of imbalance. The celestial apsaras, carved in stone, dance on for eternity in the abandoned city. The Khmer built for the ages, never imagining their creation could be so completely undone. The story is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring power of nature. The final chapter of Angkor was not written by kings or armies, but by water and trees,